Welcome everyone to the first episode where we will be creating a new deathmatch template. So, as reference, we will be creating this deathmatch template from scratch. So, let's get started. The first thing we want to do is go to the create new game. Once we're here, we'll create a new template and we can simply rename this to new amazing deathmatch. And I'll put YT for YouTube. Hit create game. Once we're in here, we can see that we have a few settings already. One of the first things that we can do is go to the configuration settings and we can change the engine version. We can go up here and what we're going to do is change to 2.9.16. We can also take a look at the rendering. I want phaser 2D and I'm going to leave it on smooth, but I don't want pixel art. If you'd like pixel art and you want to change the assets to pixel art, more than welcome to, but I'm going to leave it like this. Once we've done that, we can now get started with our project. So what do we want to do first? Well, in this video, we're going to get started with the actual player, and that is our homie. Here, I'm going to rename this guy to fighter, and we want to change the cell sheet. Now in here, we have quite a few things, so we can start going through them and pick whichever you'd like. I'm going to pick either the soldier or the pilot. I think I'm going to pick the soldier in this video. So you guys can pick whichever one you'd like, but that's the one I'm going to do. All right, once we've done that, we now want to see if this works. Like what happens when we add this guy into our game and I hit play? Well, here we go. We have a moving player. If you want your configuration settings to take effect, so you can see right now it's kind of in a 3D area, you just have to publish and play. So we'll do that in a minute once we actually change something else. Okay, but for now, this is pretty cool. We have a new sprite, we have a moving player, and we have everything we might need. Now, the next thing that we can do is give him a weapon. So let's do that. Let's take a look at which weapons we could give this guy. We go to the items tab and add a new item, and we'll see that we have a few options. We have rotating weapon, ranged weapon, melee weapon. Those are the weapons. They're consumable and unusable. We're going to give a melee weapon for now. And in here, we can take a look at what we want to give. Now, in our example, we're going to give him a crowbar. So we can search a crowbar, and we should be able to find a crowbar here. And now what we can do is, let's go down, and we can go to the weapon, and in here is how much damage that this weapon will do. It is up to you on how much you want to change this to. I think for me, I'm going to do 25. But it would take 4 hits. And the reason I'm doing this to make it kind of more than it might be is because if you're in a death match and you have guns and stuff, if you get to melee range, your weapon would probably do more. So I think this makes sense to me. So let's do 25. And now we can hit save and apply, but we can't really republish and test this because we have no way of picking up our weapon. So what we can do is go to our fighter and start as a default item with the new item that we just made. Now you can see here that I didn't actually name it, so let's rename it to crowbar. I'll give it a capital C, save and apply, and then let's republish. All right, once we're in our game, we can see that we have a crowbar, but I can't attack with it. It doesn't do anything. However, that's kind of true, but also not true at the same time. Now let's go to our weapon and take a look at why is this happening. Well, the reason why this might be happening is because we didn't do anything with it. We didn't give it an animation. We didn't give it anything really. So what we can do is we can actually go to the effects tab, and in the on use, when we use it, this is where the magic happens. Right? So on use, you can see we have a few things. Now animation is a little different than tween. Animation is kind of the animation if my cell sheet here had several cells that I could animate my weapon with. So if you want to animate your sword or weapon attack manually, you can do that. You can do that externally using external tools like a sprite, for example. I just took a second to think about that. Uh, and external tools like that. Then you can make a sprite sheet, import it into the game. I have a video on that on the channel, so go check that out if you don't know how. And then you can play this animation. Now, the tween is what we're going to use because this is kind of like think of it as a built-in animation with the weapon position. It's gonna change the weapon position depending on which one I pick. Now, I do encourage you to just try some of these. Poke is uh like poking, right? You're kind of going back and forth. And swing CC is what we're gonna use. So if we actually go here and hit play, you can now see I swing. So every time I use my weapon, I can now swing and hit stuff. Awesome. So this is cool. We have a weapon now. Now, the next thing we want to do though is let's think about this. Well, what if I have more than one weapon? Well, okay, let's add another weapon first. Let's go to item here, go to ranged weapon, and let's take a gun. Go to 2D, and we can take a look. Let's see what guns we have. We have a machine gun, we have a Uzi. I think those might be the only ones. Oh no, we have quite a few. We have a sniper, but we have quite a few. So maybe let's pick one. Maybe for now, what I might do actually is take the Uzi. So let's say Uzi here, and then we can go to the weapon. And for the health, I think I'll leave it on 10. Now let's do 15. 15 here. Go back to general, and everything good. Default quantity. That's the number of bullets. So hit save and apply. And yeah, that's it. Now what we want to do though is the problem is if we want to add this to our game, well, we would have to add it here. I don't want that. What we're going to do is we're going to create a new item or unit. In this case, here we go, unit. And we're going to create a collider object. We're going to create this collider object. We're going to give it the shape of a box, maybe a small wooden crate. And then we can say small crate. And now what we have is we have options to give it stuff. So what we want to do is we essentially want to make boxes, loot boxes. Essentially, that's what we're going to do. So we're going to add loot boxes where when you hit it, it dies. Now you can see though, when I add this, it doesn't add it to my game, right? Because this is not a player. Now, additionally, we have some scripts, but we want to delete those. So let's go over here and delete folder. Let's do that. Close this, save and apply. But now we want to add these to our game. Now there's two options. Either we can add it through the map UI by going to the map, go to entities tool, and we can add it through here, and this would work. Right? You can see right now it's like that, but if I saved and republished, it would fix. But we don't want that because in the initialization, we have this, and I don't really like this. And there's a reason I don't want this is because every time I kill a box, I want it to respawn in my world. I want it to essentially spawn somewhere random. So let's do that. Let's get into scripting in our first video. Here, we're going to add a new script in our world script, and this script is going to be for spawn boxes. Now, this will trigger every second. Now, the reason we're going to trigger this every second, because we're going to check, we're going to add in a while loop for the number of boxes. So if the number of boxes are less than a certain number, then we will actually add more. So we're going to do a number comparison. And here we're going to do less than or equal to. You could also do less than, that's totally fine. Technically, you could also do greater than and just reverse the way, but I'm going to do less than. So here I'm going to say if the boxes is less than, let's say 10, we will go over here and we want to go to function and we want to say number of unit type, so number of units of the small crate. If the number of small crates is less than 10, we're going to create those objects. I was going to say, what are we going to do? Well, that's what we're going to do. We're going to create unit at position. Okay, so here we're going to say create unit type. The unit type we're going to create is a small crate. The for player, we'll just say AI for now. And then over here at position, we can say random position in region. But the region we're going to do is just the entire map region. And then facing 0 radians, we'll just leave it at that. This is the direction that it's facing, so we don't really care what direction it's facing. Unless you want to randomize that, you're more than welcome to. But I'm just going to click OK, save and apply, and then let's publish and take a look at if it worked. All right, we now have some boxes, and let's see if I can hit them. Looks like I can't. Looks like they don't do anything. So let's go to our entities tab and take a look at why that might be. Well, so in Moddio, there's something called bodies and collision. Right? The way that works is usually in most of these objects in our entities tab, we'll have the bodies type. And here we can check to see what these collide with. Okay, our small crate will collide with all these, but maybe our crowbar doesn't interact with anything else. Go to the body types. Okay, so we can see here it only interacts with the walls and the sensors. So we want to change that so it interacts with everything else. Hit save, do that in the selected. Yeah. Okay, let's hit save and apply. Go to save and apply, play. Okay, so once you've republished, you can see here that we've added our boxes. Now, don't worry if you don't have the health bar. I've actually just added that myself, but we can see that it works. We can kill these guys and they go to 0. Now, I'll kind of show you the health though, just one sec. Now, the health, the reason the health bar is showing because in the attributes here, I've simply turned the display on. I just wanted to test it out or show you guys that it does work. Now, additionally, though, there's kind of two issues. The first issue is that, well, it doesn't, when it goes to 0, it doesn't do anything. Now, that's an easy fix. But the second thing is in the effects tab on the on attack, there's no animation or anything. So what we could do is go over here to the small crate animation and give it kind of an animation. Do wobble, poke. Poke might be a little weird. Recoil. Maybe we can do wobble to see what that looks like. And let's hit save and apply. And have to be published, but we don't. You can see here that it works right away. Okay, this is pretty cool. So now let's take a look at the small crate. Now, what happens when its health goes to 0? No, that's not great or ideal because, well, you want to do something when it hits 0. Now, there's two ways or two places to check this. Now, previously, if you watched the Content Gather video or series, we added it in the world script, and that works. There's no problem with that. Now, for this example, we're going to add it in the crate script just to show you the difference. Okay, now in here, we'll do new script, and we'll say, yeah, what we want to trigger on is I want you to think about this. Well, okay, let's go to the small crate. Let's see this health thing, an attribute. Okay, I want to see when the health attribute reaches 0. Okay, we can search up attribute, and we get two options, and immediately we can actually see that one of these is the one we want. We want to check when the entity's attribute and this entity's attribute becomes 0 or less, and that's perfect. But we want to still check which entity. So we're going to do an if statement checking the attribute, where is it? Attribute type comparison. So we're going to check the attribute type of this, uh, oh, sorry, attribute here, and we'll click here, and then we'll say last triggering attribute, perfect. And then we're going to say this is going to be health. So the attribute type of the last triggering attribute is going to be health, or we're checking to see if it's health. And the reason this works is because the last triggering attribute would be over here, right? So if it triggered, then something is triggering, meaning the health most likely. Okay, now in here, this is easy. We can simply destroy this entity. We're not going to add anything crazy. We're just going to destroy the box for now. Okay, let's hit save and apply, hit save, and it might not work on those because it's already 0, so it might not trigger at all, and we seem to have to publish. Let's do that. Okay, once we're here, we can test it out. And there we go. We see that it got destroyed, and additionally, the boxes respawned. You can see one respawn right there at a random position, and that's awesome. That means both our scripts that we wrote in this video work. Now, as a challenge into the next video, and we will go over this in the next video, I want you to try adding a loot. So, okay, this is when it dies, but I want you to now try to spawn the new weapon that we made. Okay. In the next video, we're going to do that ourselves. We're going to go over that kind of solution. And then in the next video, we'll also add projectiles to our weapon to make this shoot. All right. So I will see you all in the next video. Hopefully you guys try this on your own first. Don't just skip to the next video. Do try it because that is how we learn. So I'll see you guys in the next video.